63. Surgery may be one of the only potential solutions for men with unattractive features.
Disagree.
Why do you disagree?
Because there might be some guys that are like not the most conventionally attractive, but if they, I don't know, work out, get a nice body and have a nice sort of aura about them and the way, like, you know, when they say confidence is attractive and the way they carry themselves and act, realistically, you don't need to do all that. Like, there's a lot of, okay, so for example, I don't really want to bring celebrities into this, but there's a lot of celebrities who really are not actually attractive. If you look at their faces, they're not good looking, but because of their status or the way that they carry themselves, stuff, a lot of girls might fancy them. And I know that's not the same for your average Joe down the road. However, it's about the confidence and the way you carry yourself ultimately that's going to define your level of attractiveness. Attractiveness is not always going to be the way your facial features are. And there's been a lot of guys where they might work out and get really fit bodies, and it actually does make them look a lot more appealing.
64. Height is an attractive trait as it is seen as a display of dominance.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll comment on this because I'm not very tall. So although it's true that height is seen as dominance, it's not the only way to show that you're a dominating figure. I'm not gonna like try to toot my own horn, but I know that I can control conversations when I'm in a room. I know I can sort of bend people to my will. I've been told this myself. I think you even told me at one point as well. Like, even my mum told me that, like, it's not always about your height. I mean, height definitely plays a factor. If you have a really tall guy walk into the room, obviously people turn around because they're big. But if you have the kind of personality that kind of, I don't want to say makes other people shut up, but makes them listen to you, then you can, there's other ways to be dominating. So if you know that you're not very tall, then you know there's other ways that you need to go about making people show you respect. You know, you don't have your height to fall back on. You don't have height to fall back on, but your personality can shine through. So it is harder. I'm not saying it's not harder, bless you. But in terms of like getting girls and attracting girls, I've not had much of an issue, even if the girl is the same height as me or a little bit taller, because I know how to put myself across in a way where it's not that I'm necessarily compensating for the fact that I'm not like 6'5" or whatever, but it's that you just need to play the field basically. If you just accept, oh, I'm short and that's it, then yeah, you're cooked. There's ways to go about things.
65. The ideal height for men falls between the 6'2" to 6'4" range. However, men who are 6 foot are also in a good spot and don't have anything to worry about. 66. Every inch you have lower than 6 foot is seen as a small blow to your overall attractiveness. This is the danger zone. Meanwhile, 67. Heights 5'7" and below are in the no-go zone. Persistent rejections will occur solely because of height. And this is true even with an attractive face.
I don't know, you know. I know there is a lot of girls out there that are shallow about men's heights. I mean, speaking from a woman's perspective, it's not ideal. But me personally, I've never let that get in the way. Like, I've dated a lot of guys that were shorter than me, or if not borderline same height, and they were good looking guys, and I never let that get in the way. But would I have preferred them to have been taller? Yeah, naturally, because I'm a woman, and I agree, you do get that level of bit more dominance of a man being taller than you. But I don't think that if you've got a good looking face and you're short, that is going to really put you in a danger zone and really work against you.
I think generally speaking, obviously girls do prefer taller guys. So it's not that they're wrong in what they're saying. It's not that the information is wrong. It's my issue with the way Wheat Waffles put this across is that it's like it's a no-go zone, you are fucked. Yeah. Which is just not true. Like there's caveats to everything, and because he's not providing that extra needed context, that's kind of why we're doing the reactions to these videos. If you guys are wondering why we're halfway through the video, it's because there's other parts to it. So we've done 4 other parts to this video, but what he's saying in general is not untrue. But there's loads of ways to circumnavigate these sort of situations. You just kind of got to work with what you've got, read the room. And, you know, obviously there's going to be some guys that They are hard done. Maybe the area they live in. I don't know. Maybe if you're in Miami, it seems like a pretty shallow place. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm being a bit too like unfair on them, but that's what I get from it. Maybe if you're in a place like Miami, you're gonna struggle, but I don't think you'd struggle in London.
No, because London's full of shorties.
Yeah, and I don't think you'd struggle in a lot of places. I don't think if you went to Asia, you'd have problems.
Yeah.
No, you probably, there's probably pockets of America you probably won't have a problem. There's going to be places in the world. I imagine somewhere like Sweden, you might have an issue. That the women that are quite tall, the men that are very, very tall. Like places where the height is generally like quite high, then yeah, you might have an issue. But if you go to like Thailand or Japan or I don't know, even parts of Africa, you're not going to have an issue. And then you have to like relocate, so I guess that's not ideal.
68, on the other side of the spectrum, heights taller than 6'4" are still good, but have a few negatives going for them. Namely, it can increase the likelihood of falling into a niche market, also the likelihood of having an elongated horse face or a lanky body and frame will increase. Therefore, the ideal remains at 6'2" to 6'4". That said, those who are 6'5" and above are still better off than the average heighters of 5'9" to 5'11". 70. Balding can destroy a man's chances in the dating market, even if he was successful in the past.
That is true. One of the things that men fear the most is balding. I've spoken to plenty of guys that have lost their hair, and they've said to me, when I lost my hair, it went downhill. And it's not the end of the world, because one guy used it as a positive, and he started watching this anime called One Punch Man, and he started working out like the anime character. Now he actually looks like him, like he's just ripped to shreds. He looks like the actual like Saitama. So there's obviously that's a very like niche thing, but yeah, male balding is not good. Like it's just not good. Like if I started to go bald, I'm booking my trip to Turkey. Fuck all that. That's long. Luckily, men in my family don't tend to deal with baldness. I mean, as you get older, hairlines will recede. That's probably going to happen. But full-on baldness, even my granddad, in his old age, he had a full head of hair.
71. Although it is still possible to be attractive if you're bald, the black pill teaches that less than 5% of men can pull off the bald look. And those people would usually need to be attractive to begin with anyway.
Where did you get 5% from? That's an extremely low number. I read this thing in a article that said women find bald men the most attractive. I don't know if that's true or not, but what do you think?
You want my honest opinion? I think that I wouldn't deem bald men the most attractive, no. And I think they're right in what they're saying. You do have to be somewhat attractive to be able to pull it off. Otherwise, it does get a bit difficult. Yeah. I never really liked the bald look until I dated that guy that he was bald. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah, but he had like a full beard though, which I think helped.
Yeah.
And I think he was actually attractive as well. But anyone who knows me will tell me otherwise. Like everyone else thought that he wasn't attractive. But for me, I thought he was attractive. And again, even when I was talking to him, I still didn't find it ideal. But he rocked it well, so it worked. But if I had the choice to have a bald guy or a guy with hair, I'm going to choose the guy with hair.
72. Balding will give the appearance of being 10 years older than your true age.
Sorry, can I just pinpoint that though? There's different types of balding. Like there's receding hairlines, there's having bald patches or losing hair in certain places, and then there's outright just being bald. And some guys actually are just bald as a natural look.
Yeah.
And that I think is not going to make you look a lot older because it's your style. Whereas if your hairline's receding or you've got hair loss in certain places, I think that's when it starts to make you look a bit older.
Yeah, I think the guys that have hair on the sides and no hair in the middle, I'm just like, bro, shave that off, man. Either sort it out and go to Turkey. I'm not against guys going and doing that. But if you're not going to sort it out, shave it off. Because that shit makes you look older. It's very, very rare that a guy can pull that off. I think the only person I ever saw pulling that off when I was a kid was Hulk Hogan. And even he used to put a bandana over his head because he probably didn't like it.
He had like long hair but had it all bald on the top.
All bald, he didn't want it like that, but it was all bald in the middle, and then he had this long, luscious blonde hair. But as soon as the bandana came off, you'd be like, holy shit, just cut it, man.
73. Men reach their attractiveness peak between the ages of 20 and 28. 74. Men younger than the age of 20 may not have a fully developed face yet, therefore they're not as attractive.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. But
Yeah.
again, they're just coming out of childhood.
That's just, it's puberty, isn't it? Like, you're supposed to blossom as you get older, I think.
Yeah, I think in general, men probably do peak around 28. Obviously, there's varying factors. I think using weight as a measuring stick is probably not a good idea, because that doesn't necessarily mean you weren't going to peak. You just ate yourself into submission, and so now you're fat. But maybe if you were in shape, you would have looked better, because in my 20s, I was very overweight. And it wasn't until my late 20s where like I started doing martial arts and I started working out that my face started to thin out and I started to get into good shape. And it's only really now that I've gotten trim. So I probably look younger now than when I did in my 20s, but generally they're probably right on that.
Yeah, I think having a good body as well is going to help with the looking younger side of things.
Yeah, it does. Like I look back on old pictures. There's a picture of me I'm with this girl at Comic-Con, my friend Andriana. And I can just see how she was reaching to get her arm around me because I was so fat. And I watched her and I looked at her and I was like, ugh, man, why was she even...
Do you know, I can't imagine you being fat.
Yeah, there was a...
But you need to show me a picture.
I covered it up well because I would always wear black and I'd always have puffy clothes on. And my face never looked too fat. My face never looked like really... Like, it never matched my body. But I remember I walked past the mirror one day and I was like... Like
was you actually fat or just a bit tubby?
I was fat. Like it was spilling out.
Really?
It was bad. And
why can I not imagine you like that?
You've never seen me like that. You've only ever seen me in shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
I'm so curious.
Yeah, it was not a good look. There should never be, there's no pictures on my phone of it, but there should never be.
Go search Facebook.
I don't have Facebook.
Yeah, but people that you know and hung around with when you were younger might have Facebook.
You can look for them. I'm not ashamed. Like, it's a journey. But it was funny because I had an afro like that, like the MJ afro, and I was fat, so I just looked like some kid in an 80s movie that gets bullied. But I remember I walked past the mirror once, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, my belly should not be past my chest. It should be the other way around. And I looked at myself, and I was just like, that's it, I'm done. I went into my fridge. All the money that I shouldn't have done this was really fucked up. But I was like, if I don't do something now, this is going to be me. Mm-hmm. And my mum would love like just buying chocolates in the house. And this was selfish of me because I was living with other people. I threw everything out and I blamed it on my brother.
Oh.
I threw all the Sunny D, all the chocolate digestives, all the shit food that my mum had bought. I literally dashed everything. I replaced some of the healthy food. I didn't buy any treats. And every day I would wake up, I'd go to my local dirt path with one of my friends and we would just jog. I actually jogged too much. I've still got like an injury that I've never recovered from. My knee isn't... You've probably seen me limping sometimes. It was from when I was trying to lose weight. My fat ass was trying to get across the dirt path.
Meanwhile, 75, men older than the age of 28 will increasingly face issues caused by aging, such as balding, skin degradation, wrinkling, and so on. 76. This process of aging will likely start off slow, but accelerate rapidly into a man's mid-30s.
Can I just say, though, it's a part of life. Naturally, we get older. Naturally, we decline.
Yeah, and if anything, this is worse for women. When women reach these ages, they tend to have more of an issue with things, not just with looks, but like with biological clocks and that. I think this is less of an issue for men. They say men age better than women.
That's what I was just thinking. Men are supposed to get a lot hotter as they get older.
Yeah.
And I doubt mid-30s is when a guy starts proper declining. If he doesn't look after himself, yeah. If he looks after himself, that ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
I know loads of men like that are like 35 and up and still look good.
Yeah, it's just about taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
You have to... A lot of people, the problem that people have is that you get some people that they're just built well. Like, they look nice. They've got a good looking face. They were lucky enough to be born with those features, but they don't look after themselves. They don't drink enough water. Yeah. They don't go to the gym. They don't invest in the right food.
Addictions can ruin that.
Yep. There's girls
drinking, smoking.
Yeah, drinking, smoking. There's girls and boys that I went to school with who look way older than me now. way older. And it's just like, what were you doing this whole time? Like, don't get me wrong, everyone falls off the wagon. Like I said, I was fat at one point, but you need to look in the mirror and be like, I need to fix myself, not only for myself, but, you know, for my future wife, for my future children, or just to be around for my parents. Because if you're walking around the way I was walking around, I wasn't going to make it. Just put it that way. I was eating all the cookies in the cookie jar. We literally had a cookie jar and I would eat them.
Would you then?
Yeah. My problem is that
you wouldn't have one packet, Chris. You would have 10.
yeah, when I start to indulge in something, I want to eat the whole thing, and I just can't stop. So I just don't. Now when I come to yours and you offer me some chocolate in a little bag's empty, I can't eat anymore. But if you give me a packet of fingers, I'll go through the whole thing.
Box. Yeah.
I've got a really bad habit of doing that, so I just don't buy them anymore.
77. Women reach their peak of attractiveness between the ages of 18 to 24. 78. The peak of attractiveness for women is narrower than men's because aging affects women faster, and this is due to women's smaller fertility window. As you can see from the chart on the right, men's decline in fertility is much more gradual. 79. The ideal P length is 6 inches or greater. 80. 5 inches is seen as an uphill struggle. Again, this is the danger zone. 81. Anything below 5 puts you in a very difficult situation.
My opinion on that is I think it's irrelevant using it in this because this is not about overall attractiveness of men, because more time you're not going to know the size of someone's, what do we want to call it?
Penis.
Oh, penis. Okay, we'll go down that route. You're not really going to know the size of it until you decide that you're happy with them on the outside before you see what's underneath.
Yeah, but if you see what's underneath and it's 2 inches, you're probably going to be turned off.
But that's not going to be because it's not attractive to have a small one. That's going to be because it's not overall not going to pleasure you. It's going to be more so from the pleasure aspect, which is important in a relationship.
So what, are you saying about having a smaller penis would be less attractive for you, no?
Yeah, because it's not going to pleasure me. But it's not because, like, oh my God, he's got a small willy. It's more so, I can't work with this. That's what it is. You see what I mean?
Look, on the small penis front, if you've got a small dick, I have no advice for you. I don't know how to navigate that one. It is what it is, man. God, you weren't one of God's favorites.
Yeah, it's sad, but also I don't think that it would stop you finding someone, and I also don't think that you should try and do anything to change it, because I've heard stories about people who have, and it's ruined life for them, and it's just not worth it because you still want to be able to get your pleasure out of it too. Yeah,
that one's a tough one. I would say comment in the comment section, but I don't need to know your penis length. That's so long. If you've got a small dick, then I'm sorry. I have no advice. Whatever they're gonna say, they're probably right.
There isn't anything you can say really, but I just think it's not the be and end all. There's a lot of women out there who don't even enjoy sex, so it's not going to matter to them.
Those are few and far between, though.
Not really.
Most
You'd
people
be surprised.
like sex.
You'd be surprised at how many don't.
Well, you got numbers?
No, I can't give you exact statistics, but I've just come across a lot of people in my time that are just like,
Well, maybe they're tired of their partner, but not enjoying sex.
Nah, it's just, I don't know. Some people who just aren't. If you're someone who enjoys it, you can't understand the mindset of someone who doesn't. You see what I'm saying?
I get that there's people out there that don't enjoy it. I just don't know if it's a high number. I think most people enjoy sex, but I think a lot of people are in relationships.
Google it. What's the percentage of people who don't enjoy sex?
Okay. Let's see what comes up.
I don't want that to be of they're just not getting satisfaction. I want it to just be more so of just don't get sexual arousal. Do you know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
Nearly 1/3 of women aged 18 to 59 suffer from a loss of interest in sex.
It's an actual thing called hypoactive sexual desire disorder, known as HSDD, is when you're not interested in sex, have no sex drive or low sex drive, and it bothers you. It's one of the most common sexual problems that people have. Wow, okay. I was wrong. Didn't know it was common. That's news to me. If I get with a girl like we're together, my mum watches this show. Let's not go down that road. Anyway, anything you want to add?
No.
All right, well, stay tuned for the next part.